Is it Mirage next or is it Dino? Dino, how are you,
Hey,
brother?
brother.
So come on
So
in. So
I'm gonna start off saying I'm bald by choice, just to give a little dig to my brother.
well, I was, I'm kind of surprised with Jose's recommendations. They didn't all wear commanders hats. I was very surprised by that.
Yeah. Well, the last 3 seconds kind of spoiled that one.
So listen, Dino, thank you. You've always been here for every single event. You've been a great host. This is kind of a hybrid aspect. You were a leader in the last event. I'd like you to talk about influence, and I want you to talk about influence in regard to you really make a lot of doors open for people like myself. You say, hey, Ken, I have an in to the Hollywood. I have an into, this mastermind. I have an into all these amazing events, and you have graciously allowed me not just access, but to really feel like I belong there because you introduced me to so many people. So you're not just a door opener, an influencer, but you're also a major connector. And I just want to thank you for that. I want to give you a couple minutes to talk, and then we're going to come back and talk about the Dino Show and what you're up to with your next steps in life. All right.
Okay, I'll segue it off into that. So, yeah, Dr. Smiley, I've been a friend and I don't know if I started off as a fan or a friend, but it was his heart that meant so much to me. And so he wanted me to talk about how doors can get opened. Well, I talked about it a little bit the other day when people go to a networking event or another event, everybody's just beating their chest. Let me tell you about me. Let me tell you about why I'm so great. Well, you know, people don't want to hear that. They want to hear what you can do for, it's what people want to be heard. You can make more friends in 2 minutes listening to other people than you can in 2 years talking about yourself. So, in most situations I go into it with a service mentality. How can I help you? How can I help serve you? One of the hosts, one of the commentators earlier talked about it was Zig Ziglar that said, if you help enough people get what they want, then enough people help you get what you want. It's not a tit for tat deal. It's really about, how can I serve? How can I help? There's so many things you can do that are absolutely free. One is gratitude. Many speakers talked about that. We always recognize what we do for other people, but how often do we recognize what other people do for us? So be gratitude. Have gratitude in the morning. Think of three things. What are you grateful for? One, having a pulse, having another day to have an impact in society. The other, and then the other two, actually, I'm grateful for the love of my life down in Colombia. My princessa, Lides Johanna Paternina Gonzalez, will be getting married soon, and Ken will be there. So, but going back to how you have an influence is how do you serve? How can you help somebody? How can you help other people? And it's amazing how doors will be open. The other thing that I try to look at is whatever situation I'm in, you know, do I make it better? Whether it's just an individual interaction or a group situation, I'll tie that into, how I got into the film world by just serving, by helping at a film convention. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. And so I think the important things is, it's, why is it that people love the Dino Show? Well, because I want to have fun. Everything I do, I want to have fun. I want to bring joy. I want to bring excitement, enthusiasm, and it's really, I didn't hear this word too often, but it's about being authentic. People know who I am. You either love it or you don't, but either way, you know what you're getting. Like some of the leaders that we have in society, which we won't go into, being authentic, being real and being genuine. And it's easy. Also, we did the smile-a-thon. A smile is the most economical way to improve your looks. It's hard to say no to a smile. You can say about anything with a smile. You brighten up somebody's day. Attitudes are infectious. Let's start an epidemic of positive attitudes. And I see Dr. Smiley coming back in. I'm not sure if he's here yet, but I owe so much gratitude to Ken because Ken is always looking at making the world a better place. That's originally what I fell in love with Ken, was what he was doing worldwide in Africa and in other countries. And his movement is absolutely amazing. So there was that inauthentic pause. So I'll go ahead and tie it into. Ken wanted to tie into the film world. So without going through the whole story, but it started off by our group, sponsoring all the after parties at local Chandler International Film Festival, largest film festival in Arizona, which is really up and coming in the film market. And if I saw people moving things, I would say, "Hey, can I help you?" And they're like, "Well, you're not on staff." I said, "Well, don't you need this to be moved?" Any way that I could support. That's also what ended up happening. So the director ended up. I mean, it did not matter. There was one time when I drove across town to pick up shirts or other things for some of the people that were supporting. It was bringing producers, and top line actors to and from the event. And so from those events, and also, kind of being bold, saying, "Oh, look, I might be available later this year to be in your next movie." And then people are like, "Oh, really?" Because they wanted some of the Dino Show possibly in their next movie. My good friend Darwin Reina, who amazing film producer out in Spain, he actually wanted me to be in Spain earlier this month due to other scheduling conflicts. I could not. Um, my good friend Mark Kerr just did a great movie with Dwayne the Rock Johnson. And so it started with by serving. Then it goes to the point of what is the next step. So the Dino Show actually started by accident. We were at the Heart of Hollywood magazine, and I was there to support my good friend Giovanna, who's a producer, actress. She's an artist. She's so many amazing things. And then she's just, the couple days before, she said, "Dino, I want you to do red carpet interviews." I'm like, "What?" Then out came up the hat with that, and then but also, the thing that connected me to Giovanna was creating the very first American film convention, and then just cold calling and reaching out to producers, making connections. I became good friends with it was actually O.J. Simpson's a guy that took him on tour after the trials and made him huge and made him famous and what have you. He had 84 hours of videotape. Then MYC Agnew, who's been in the industry for 30 plus years, then saw something with the Dino Show. So we're going to be at the American Film Market in November, which I want Dr. Smiley to come to.
Well, I want to be there. We actually have a lot more speakers. Three more showed up,
And
Dino. So how do people reach you and connect you to know about these events?
so the my social media team, actually, there's a huge launch going on with the Dino Show in social media. So just be looking at about a month into just Google Dino Show, and they'll be able to find me on all the channels, and then all the content is going to be rolling out.
Okay, thank you so much. I